Welcome back, my beautiful spring sprouts. Last time you guys joined me, you watched me plant my corn, and it might be my imagination, but I think I've got some little ones popping up. We've got a few things to accomplish today, beans to plant, a couple things to transplant. We're gonna go to the front of the house today and I'm gonna show you where we're gonna put our pumpkins because there is no space for them back here. But I really need you guys to look past the fact that I need to weed whack, I need to mow in here, and I really need to do some weeding. So it's gonna be a cleanup day. We'll do most of that off camera, but right now we're just gonna look around and see how things have progressed. So we'll start with our corn patch. Much like the little babies a couple videos ago, you really can't see them from this high up, but once you start getting down, so I planted these in groups of 3, and you can see obviously there's one there, there's one there, and then when you move down, 1, 2, I don't see any for a minute, and then there's another one there. Let me see, there's a couple popping up here. Not too bad. So we'll wait until these guys are about 6 inches tall and a little bit more established and starting to really come to life, and then we'll plant our beans. Once the corn gets about a foot, foot and a half tall, then we'll plant our squash. Moving on to the greens bed. We had to use a magnifying glass for a lot of these a couple videos back, and check them out. Really starting to establish. Now I did lose a few. We've been struggling with having like really hot dry days for this early springtime, and then all of a sudden we'll just get like a torrential rain like once a week. So I've been having a little bit of trouble keeping them evenly watered. It's resulting in these kind of weak stems. So trying to bring a couple of these back. Definitely have to replant some spots. You can see that I lost this one, one in the middle there. They're kind of already thinning themselves. Over to our carrot bed. Again, guys, please ignore all the stuff. Like, I am gonna get in here and clean all this up. And also over here, this is an area we're desperately trying to grow some grass. And we just have an old piece of fencing there because it kind of keeps the dogs like off that nice loose soil that they like to dig in. And oh, ignore that too. We'll talk about that in a second. All right, we'll have to come back out here in another hour when the sunlight has moved further back and these are kind of popping up a little bit brighter. Beets are doing very well. We'll circle back to these. Potatoes! Guys, it is almost time to hill these guys for the first time. Like, I literally just planted these and they almost already want more soil. Look at these things. So right now, in these ever-increasing spring temperatures, this is when you want to really start watching the undersides of your leaves for the flea beetles. They're easy to get rid of and you can usually catch them pretty early, so keep watching the undersides of your leaves. These look pretty good. And we do have 2 more rows here that we planted the other day. You guys saw that. They're going to pop up any day. And a few people have asked me about this guy. This is a Brussels sprout that we planted last spring. It wintered over and now it's gone to bolt. Hoping that I can get some seeds off this. But it's done a really good job of attracting early bees to the garden. You gotta love that. Strawberry pool. I think I skipped over this in the last video. I didn't mean to do that, but let's see. These are actually doing really well. But they're absolutely everywhere. We planted in a circular pattern, and then there's like more spokes. That pretty well brings us full circle. So I finally decided this was our squash patch last year. We had the squash vine borer. That is a pest that can stay in the ground, that can come back next spring and wreak havoc if you plant the squash there in the same spot again. So I finally decided this is going to be my tomato patch. I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of been struggling with this one. I'm like, what can I put there? Because everything else is pretty much spoken for. I've got some pots over here where I planted garlic. I think I've got some coming up. I'm not really sure. I've never grown garlic, so can you guys confirm? Is that like a little garlic grassy? Because that'd be awesome. So there's bulbs in all 3 of these pots. Someone did ask me last video, are you not growing garlic? And I am. You can't see it yet, and that's no fun. Like, someday there will be a plant here. And then I also have some in this pot, and I have a similar little grassy coming up right there. So if you guys are garlic lovers, let me know. Yep, here comes a bean. That is part of a separate video that'll come out in a couple of weeks. We're doing a little bit of a bean experiment, so we'll check back on that. And speaking of beans, so I have black-eyed peas here, which need a trellis, and I have some royal burgundy bush beans here, which do not. So the royal burgundy bush beans are gonna go all over this side of this bed. And the black-eyed peas, actually, now that we're mentioning it, the plastic. Yeah, the greenhouse died, guys. It had its final tussle with the wind, and the plastic is just beyond saving. So until we can either find some more plastic or come up with a better plan, I'm going to grow vining plants all over this. The pots are going to help me with that. I'll probably put some tomatoes in there because they're going to need some extra support. And yeah, hopefully we'll have some loofah and some beans and all kinds of things all over this. Oh, let's not forget these guys. Delicate little wispy grabbers. I've been having a heck of a time getting these guys to hold on to literally anything but each other. They're like siblings. They grab onto each other and they just strangle each other, and you gotta pull them apart as gently as possible, and they don't ever hold on where they're supposed to. And alright, so I did add more soil back here. You guys saw that. I am not, however, going to add more soil here because beans are really, really shallow rooting. This next part's really simple. Poke a hole, drop a bean in. I'm gonna do it at 300% speed because I am a super gardener. Alright, so that actually left me a good 12 inches or so for more beans. I can probably put 3 more rows in here. Remember, these are going to naturally thin themselves. Not all of them are going to come up and be totally successful. On the off chance they are, you might have to thin them yourself, but I hate ripping up baby plants. Oh my gosh, but that is part of it. I am going to have to thin my carrots eventually, just still waiting to see how those do. That is several more rows that we get to keep an eye on. I have a kitchen window right here. I love to have my morning tea and look out and see like which rows are popping up, like which new sprouts there are. And of course, if I see something, I have to come running outside and get a closer look. But let us go to the front yard. Gotta actually put flip-flops on for this next part, guys. This might be the only time you've seen me wear shoes to do gardening, but I'll show you why. We have these bushes in front, and they are spiny. They have spiny leaves, and yeah, I would love to rip these out and put something else in. We don't own this house, we rent it, and the people who own the house really like it. But check it out. So walking around here barefoot, oh man, it doesn't even have any flex to it. These leaves though will actually stick in the bottom of your flip-flop. Like, you have to watch that you don't bring them in the house and that it doesn't actually stab all the way through. So these bushes are like the bane of our existence and one of the huge reasons that we don't use the front yard a whole lot. But I'm kind of running out of room in the garden and I don't want to take more space from the dogs. So I've devised this method since we are south facing here. This took a lot of work. I raked away all of the rocks until I got to the original landscape fabric, tore that up, dug down below that, and found that the soil was surprisingly manageable. It was actually really nice soil. It was willing to break up. We put another mound on top of it. You can kind of see it's moundular. And this is where we're going to transplant 2 of our pumpkins. I have 1 large pumpkin and 2 small pumpkins, both from survival garden seeds, both getting a little bit leggy and more than ready to be out of their pots. But check this out. They're looking like they're already ready to put flowers on. Like, that is crazy. I've got to get these guys in the ground. You can tell by the stem they're really unhappy in these cups, but they're determined to keep living. So I do plan on putting all 3 vines in 1 mound. However, I don't expect all 3 of them to make it. So I figure I'll end up with 2 good vines. I don't know if I'm gonna get a mix of 1 large, 1 small, or both small. We'll see. All right, we wish those guys the best of luck. Now, vine control. It's hot. All right, so I don't really want to kill the grass. I'm going to keep scooting this back further and further, probably fold the inner edges in a little bit because it is super wide. I'm just trying to create like a weed-free path that I don't have to worry about mowing around, that the vines can kind of meander under that bush. into this little secondary rock area, and hopefully if they don't grow too much, I'll be able to kind of coil them around, double them back on themselves. And I'm hoping that having a little bit of a barrier there up off the wet ground will help the pumpkins in their development. As we turn them, they won't have like flat rotten spots. But this is southern exposure. There's absolutely no shade here for at least 8 hours a day. So I think this is their best chance. I'm gonna use rocks on the inner edge to kind of pin that down. I'm gonna bring some bricks from the backyard to pin down the front, and hopefully I can get that done in the next 5 minutes because I am hot. Well, it's not bad. Whew, I'm sure my landlord will hate it, but I'll bring him a pumpkin. I actually don't feel too bad because I initially tried to dig a hole way out here to put the mound. I was not going to put it in the rocks. That seems like way more work than is necessary. However, sorry guys, I'm still out of breath. This is a really old house. Well, not really old, but it was built in the 60s. And the grass has slowly been creeping in, so believe it or not, the rock actually extends like all the way out here and used to come out a lot further from under those bushes. So I'm really just kind of bringing it back, you know, doing him a favor. All right, that is it for us today, guys. I do have some black-eyed peas to plant, but you guys watched me plant beans earlier. There's nothing to it, so I'll go ahead and do that off camera. But we should have a bunch of new sprouts next time. Terry and Ann Jones, I wanted to tell you guys, I am so sorry. I ended up losing all the loofahs. I don't know what the deal was, but luckily you guys sent me enough seeds that I can restart. So fully plan on still having loofahs. I don't know what I did wrong. I'm a beginner with loofah, but I'm trying. So any advice, leave it in the comments below, please. Trent, I got your pepper seeds. Those are already started in cups inside. There's nothing to show yet. It's gonna take them a while to pop, but yeah, hopefully next video we'll have all kinds of new sprouts again. Huge thanks to our patrons on Patreon. You guys seem to be just as excited as I am about us going to Kauai. I don't really know if that's possible, but I've gotten a lot of positive reinforcement. A lot of you are really looking forward to some behind the scenes content while we're there. There's a lot of things that we're not going to be able to show on YouTube. I've been shut down multiple times on YouTube videos just for being in my bathing suits, and I do not plan on wearing clothes while I'm there. So if you guys want to get in on the action, Patreon, Nina Rins.